where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has hidden unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure, or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
In every story in the Bible, I like to ask myself, what did God reveal about Himself in this story? What window did He open to show us what He's like? In Jesus' first miracle, He had His disciples watching. At this point, they didn't know who He was, but He began revealing things about His character as He went along. What did the disciples learn from Jesus from this first miracle? And what can we learn? I'm going to read from John 2 about the wedding at Cana. On the third day, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus was also invited to the wedding with His disciples. Well, that's not exactly a +2 invitation, is it? When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to Him, "They have no more wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever He tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. And He said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast." So they took it. When the master of the feast tasted the water, now become wine, and did not know where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and when people have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." This, the first of His signs, Jesus did in Cana in Galilee, and manifested His glory, and His disciples believed in Him. One thing I love about this story is Mary. She may not have been perfectly in tune with Jesus, but she did what we all should do with our problems. She took it to Jesus. She didn't tell Him how to fix her problem, but she left it in His hands and told others to obey Him, knowing He would take care of it in His way. And she was quite confident that He would take care of it, as I should be when I go to Him. Okay, so what did Jesus reveal about Himself here? First, He's humble. This was His first public miracle, but He didn't announce Himself or what He was doing. He did it quietly, in the background, not taking the focus off of the bride and groom on their wedding day. He does that today, too. He only gets glory when we give Him glory. He doesn't announce Himself as stepping in and taking charge of things. We have to notice. Also, He didn't micromanage. He delegated responsibilities and let the servants do their job. He does that with us. He tells us what He wants to do. He opens the doors and lets us do it. Another thing is that He involved other people. He could have snapped His fingers and said one word, and all the empty wine jars would be full again, but He didn't. He let the servants, of all people, be in on it. In the same way, He doesn't need us today to do His work. I'm constantly amazed that He invites me to be in on His kingdom work, of all people. That brings me to another point. Jesus uses ordinary people, the servants. Only His disciples and the servants even knew about the miracle. None of the important people at the wedding knew. He always uses ordinary people, like you and me, to be involved in amazing things that He does. He changed the world with 12 ordinary guys. Another thing is that He had compassion on people, specifically His mother and the wedding couple. Providing the wine wasn't His job. He was a wedding guest. But He knew how embarrassing the situation would be for the couple. Their wedding would always be remembered as that one where the wine ran out. Instead, it got written about in the Gospels as the one when Jesus did His first miracle. Lastly, Jesus did what only God could do. In doing this before His disciples, He produced faith and trust in Him. Remember, at the end of the story, it says, Jesus manifested His glory and His disciples believed in Him. At this point, they were still figuring out who Jesus was. He showed them that He was God, because a mere man could not turn water into wine. He just showed them a sneak peek at the unlimited resources He had. I'm sure there are plenty of other ways you could see Jesus in this first miracle, But it's not just stories from the Bible that shows us who God is. He reveals himself in your story too. I'd love to hear what characteristics he's shown to you in your life journey. You can contact me at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. I'm Carla Early. Thanks for listening. And remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.